Welcome to the Rehumanization Station. I'm your collaborator, Christopher Jones, aka Dr. X, and this podcast is an extension to my Flippin' and Vibin' brand, where Vibers seek to transform narratives in society, education, sport, and a variety of other sectors. Today, I'm happy to say, is our Ballers Life series, where we have a trained Viber named Drew Lasker. Drew, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. It's great to be in your presence, man.
I know it's real good to see you today, man. Because people don't know, but some people may know, but Drew is a big reason why I'm here in the first place. It's been 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago last month that I came to Durham.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
wow.
And Durham, what people don't know is I was done playing basketball. I had a 9-to-5 job in Houston, and then I got a random email from one of your older agents. I forgot what it was. It Gavin?
Yeah.
Gavin Love?
Yeah, Gavin Love.
It was Gavin Love. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, my old
coach.
He was my former teammate, and then he became a coach of mine for 1 year.
Yeah. Random email. And I was like, do you want to come play here? I had I think it was Durham and Bristol. I had 2 offers to play. And that research searched my career, and obviously everything else followed. If people want to tune into episode 1, who was flipping and vibing with Dr. X, you can learn a little bit more about my story, but I appreciate that. But Drew Lasker is a husband, a father, son, and business owner. And that's not all. A retired professional basketball player who had a successful 16-year career starring for the Plymouth Raiders and Newcastle Eagles. I'm telling y'all, it was tough playing Drew. Drew was extremely fast and quick. I'll say when you were at Newcastle, it was more was towards the end of your career, you're more like a 6-man type role, right?
Yeah, it was more. It was the back 9 of my career, and position kind of changed. I became like a combo guard, more of a point guard facilitator, right? Because I was 30 plus, and so the role had changed a little bit then.
Yeah, but it was tough. It was tough, but it was cool to be on the same court.
Yeah, that was a great, man. I still have the picture from that. That was a great moment, man.
For real. Okay. And to continue, since retiring though, Drew has transitioned into a highly sought after public speaker with expertise in a wide range of sports and leadership development topics. He has also worked as a broadcaster and analyst for Sky Sports over the last 4 years, and now he is a lead commentator for the Super League basketball on DAZN.
DAZN. I just learned how to pronounce that.
DAZN.
2 weeks ago, actually.
2 weeks ago. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get into that about the Super League and the name change and everything if we get the time to. Okay. But also, whilst juggling his busy family life and media career, Drew also runs 21 Media and TrainHarder 21, which he started in 2007. You can find out more at 21media.org or drewlasker.com. And it's cool because I know the TrainHarder, was I there kind of in the beginning? Was that the beginning stages? When was the beginning stages? It was, you said, it says 2007, but when did I start actually doing stuff with you?
I can't remember exactly. It was definitely in the beginning stages. If I had to guesstimate, it would have been like around 2009 time. I remember that you were. I remember you had the T-shirt on and you were helping us out at Creech Elementary.
Oh right. It was Creech. But even before that, it was you, I, and Tamir. We would train at Lifetime Fitness, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. And you had, what was his name? He's one of your coaches now.
John.
John. Yes, John. John.
Yeah.
John would be there too. You would be training John.
Yeah.
Was John one of your first?
He wasn't. He was one of the, but he wasn't the first, but he was the first trainee to become then trainer.
Okay, right. Okay. Shout out to John,
who still works for us this day. He assists our AAU team.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I seen that. Okay, that's cool. We'll get into that too. So yeah, and Drew also has an AAU program, right?
Yeah.
You didn't. Yeah, we didn't. You didn't. It's not. Yeah, it's not in there. But Drew also has it. But see, that's how much Drew has got going on. So it's gonna be an exciting episode today. But thank you, Drew, for coming and spending your time with us. But now this is the part of the show where we just vibe and allow listeners to get an idea of your background and your personal interests, right? So. Yeah, let's start off what's your story? Tell us a bit about yourself, your birthplace, family, your friends, sport, and career.
Yeah, I don't get an opportunity to talk about my story often. So usually when people hear it, they're really surprised. And so I come from a military family. My dad did 22 years in the Army. And my first memories are being in Germany. I grew up in Germany, which always surprises people.
Okay, what part?
Mainz, which is about 20 minutes from Frankfurt.
So it's more in the southern region, I'm assuming, because military is usually in the south.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, those are my first memories. First memories picking up a basketball. Lived there for 3.5 years. And then we migrated back to the States when I was about 8.5, 9 years old. Moved to Texas because before we moved to Germany, we lived in Kentucky. Then we moved back to Texas. And then we went back to Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and then we went to Nashville, Tennessee. And then my dad got stationed in Germany again. My mom decided that we needed a little bit more stability because I was getting older. I think I was, might have been 5th grade then. And so we stayed in Brookshire, and my dad did 2 years in Germany. And then after that stint, he got stationed in Kansas City. And then for whatever reason, we just decided to stay in Brookshire. So, was in Brookshire, Texas until 7th grade, and which is it's only 7 miles from Katy, as you would know, but it's a predominantly Black and Mexican town, where Katy is more predominantly white. And so, first of all, when I moved back to the States, I realized right away that I was different. Just my mindset, and obviously that came from living in a different country, living with a lot of different type of cultures. Yes. So when I came back to the States for the first time, this is the first time that I knew anything about like racism or divide, because when you're in this military cocoon, you're with all different types of people.
Right, okay.
All different type of cultures. You're all the same because you in the military, especially if you're living overseas.
Right.
And so I get to Brookshire, and it's Black, white, and Mexican. And it's Black and Mexican against each other. And I was just really confused around that time and got bullied a lot. At that time, that wasn't a term for it. It was just people were messing with me. And it was a lot because I was so different. I spoke differently, to the point where teachers had me do show and tell. As everybody remembers, they always had me going from class to class because I could speak German, which the teachers thought were fascinating, but the students thought it was, hilarious. And so they made fun of me a lot about it, to the point where, and I was a really shy, introverted kid in my younger years, to the point where I stopped speaking it. Because I got made fun of so much and never spoke German again.
So do you know how to speak German?
Not at all.
So how old were you when you were speaking the German? When did you stop? What year? Do you know what age you were?
I went to an American school, but we had a German class. And so I knew the basics. It's not like I was speaking fluent German. I can count, ABCs, hello, all that stuff. So I would say about 5 to 8.5, because we did 3.5 years there. And so that first year back, did a lot of show and tell, got clowned a lot, and never spoke it again.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Wow, okay, but I did not know you spoke German. I didn't know you grew up in German. Okay, Germany.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, but that's cool. But thank you for sharing. I'm actually, my partner's Austrian. Okay. So she actually went to Northumbria, but she's back in Austria now, and I'm trying to learn German. I start German courses next week, actually.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so dang, I didn't. So at least I know someone to contact. Do you have any any memory of it? Do you think you could be in Germany and kind of understand a bit about it?
I spent a little time in Germany, like when I was trying to pursue my basketball career. No recollection of it whatsoever. Okay. But I think that if I proactively took a course or something, that I think I would be starting from square one, but I think the process will be sped up, because I'm sure it's in there somewhere, really deep inside. But I just don't have any recollection whatsoever.
Okay, wow, okay. I didn't know that, because I played in Germany. I played Pro B. Yeah. In Dorsten. It's in the north, kind of small little town. It's by Dortmund. But yeah, I played there. The only thing I really learned was how to count to 10, because you make shots 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's all I really learned. So
how many points I got?
But see, that we talked about this, but that's back then I didn't appreciate my surrounding as much. I wasn't as trying to integrate with the community as if I would now. I don't have that awareness. I didn't have that awareness back then that I do now. Yeah. So, but that's cool. So Germany, okay. And how'd you get into basketball? Because you said you started playing basketball a little bit when you were young in Germany.
Yeah, I don't know how I was introduced to it. And actually this past summer, I only just found out that I was playing basketball before Germany. So that means that I would have been playing around like 4. My mom told me that they put me in a basketball camp when we were in Kentucky before we went to Germany. No recollection of that at all. I just remember playing for a team, having ice cream after practice and just loving it. And watching some of the games out there, the local pro leagues there. And that was the genesis, man.
Okay, cool. And okay, so what about as far as you need some power, like your passion and hobbies? So what activities would you say bring you peace, love, and happiness?
Now, well, I'll answer that in 2 folds. My whole life, it was always basketball, because that's the only place that I always felt like I had peace. Where if I'm in the gym working on my game or playing basketball, I can get away from everything. And to bring the story back, as I mentioned before, when I moved back to the States, I got picked on a lot. And this is how I actually really fell in love with basketball, because I was introduced to some guy named Michael Jordan. And so I saw him on TV.
But you mean like
not in real life? I mean, introduced to him through television.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would be my dream to meet him.
Okay, I got you.
And so we had WGN, which was a Chicago channel, and it showed all the Bulls games. And so I noticed at how people treated Michael Jordan, and I was like, man, people just adore this guy. They love this guy. He can do no wrong. And so for me, that's when the light switch went off, is I was like, well, maybe if I get really good at basketball, maybe people will stop messing with me. You know what I mean? That's a way that I can get some type of respect. And so for me, that's where I began to put all my energy into the game at a young age. Okay. To answer that question now, it's just I don't play anymore at all. And so with life being so busy and raising a young family, I wouldn't say that I have anything right now besides just being with the family. I don't have a lot of free time to do any type of hobbies or anything. Like if I get a moment, I'm probably trying to watch a documentary or something, but that's about it.
Okay. And but you mentioned about like how before you were either like bullied or people clowned you for certain things. How did that make you feel at the time?
Insecure. Like to the point to where like you don't really know who you are. You know, and it was just so confusing because I just couldn't understand. I didn't understand why. Like you're really young. I was like, it's all these people, all these kids. Why are you guys? Why have you chosen me to be the poster boy of who you want to mess with? Whatever that means, like play fight or just pick on. It wasn't nothing like. I don't want to paint this as like, people were, beating me up every day after school. It wasn't to that extreme. It was just being picked on consistently.
So the little cuts.
Like the little cut. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And I just didn't know. I didn't know why. I could never understand it. And so, so at that moment, that's when I started putting all my energy into basketball.
Okay, that kind of champion. Okay. What about like music and stuff? Like what music do you like? Do you like to listen to music? Any interests?
Yeah, man, I love music. When I was in 7th grade, me and my best friend, we started rapping. And I had aspirations of being a rapper.
So like a lyric. So you were writing lyrics and stuff?
Yeah, okay. we were just freestyling. So anyone who knows anything about the Houston culture, in the early 90s, the culture was DJ Screw. And so everyone was listening to great tapes and freestyles, and everybody was freestyling, like literally everybody. You might have just missed that era, but and so that's all we would do is just freestyle all the time, to the point to like we started taking it kind of seriously. And my best friend to this day, he was all into like the production side of things, so he would provide the beat and everything. Cool. And so
what was y'all's names?
We didn't have a name.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have a rap name. Which is ironic, which we could talk about, because I always tell people that whatever you're doing at this moment in time, do it to your best ability, even if it's not what you want to do in the future, because you never know what skills can be learned for the future. Because those skills of me being able to freestyle and rap allowed me to be able to be in the media space that I am now with broadcasting, which we'll touch on a little bit later.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, wow. Okay, and what about as far as like interests like within sport? As far as like any other athlete, I know you mentioned Michael Jordan. Any other athletes or any like type of books or inspirational figures?
I would say I'm not a real book guy. There's a handful of books that I've read, but not many. My passion is really documentaries.
Okay.
I love documentaries, and I'm obsessed with storytelling. I'm obsessed with hearing people's story and journey, because that's what gives me inspiration. I love hearing how, this person, come from these humble backgrounds and now look where he or she is. And so I really lean on that. I also lean on a podcast that's called How I Built This, which is it's pretty much a documentary in a podcast form. So the host, he talks with anyone that you can imagine, the founder of Instagram, the founder of Carl Kanai, just you name it, he's interviewed him, and so he talks about their story and their journey, about basically how they got to the space that they're at now. And the question that I love that he asks at the end of every interview, which is so fascinating, is he always asks them, now, do you think your success is by your skill, your hard work, or do you think it's luck?
Okay.
And I love hearing people dive into and pretty much everyone's answer is pretty consistent. It's about to make it to that level of success, you got to have a little bit of luck. But they always say that luck is created by the hard work that you put in. You put yourself in a position to be lucky because you grinding all the time.
Yes.
And so, those are the type of things that I lean on.
Okay, cool. So documentaries. All right, cool. And what about, could you think of any people who have been influential in different stages of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in my early years, both of my uncles, because as I mentioned earlier, when I got old enough to remember, and when you really start needing a father figure for a young male, my dad wasn't with us. He lived afar. He would come regularly, whether it was once a month or whatever it was, but he wasn't there on a day-to-day basis. And so I have 5 uncles, and all 5 I've learned from, because 3 of them went in and out of the penitentiary. I mean, I have one uncle who did 22 years. And so my younger years, I always say that I grew up in a penitentiary. I've been to every penitentiary in Texas. Every other weekend, I was going in with my grandmas to go visit my uncles. And so that had a huge impact on me, more so than anyone can believe. They might be listening and saying, how could visiting your uncles in a penitentiary impact you? It can impact you of knowing what not to do. I know what it feels like to be inside a penitentiary. I know what it sounds like when those gates close.
Yes.
And so those 3 uncles had an impact on me, an indirect impact on me. And then my other 2 uncles, Eugene, who really took me under his arm in regards to, from the basketball perspective. He played a lot, and so he would take me to every park, and I was playing with grown men at 10 years old. Okay. So he had an impact on me from a basketball perspective, and then my Uncle Frank had an impact on me from just being a man. He went to work every day. And during the summers, he would take me with him to work. He'd be in a yard doing all, just working. Hard work is what I learned from both of those. So those 2 guys had a huge impact on me growing up. And then it wasn't really until I got older that I really had someone to really lean on. Stephon Leary was probably the first person who you might know.
Stephon, yeah. Christian went to my twin went to Texas A&M International.
Oh right, yeah, that's right, yeah. So Steph was the head coach there, and at 17, the first time that I met him, and he was the first coach who like really actually believed in me. And so he had a huge impact, even though it was a short period. And then I went to college, and my coach Wilmore had an amazing impact. And then as I became a pro, Gary Stronach, who I'm still close with today, another guy who had an impact. And so it was different people at different stages of my life. And then, of course, my mom. It's funny with my mom because, you know, growing up in the household, being a young boy, we hit heads a lot. And I didn't really learn to appreciate my mom until I got older.
Okay.
And so now I understand the impact that she had. And it's almost like an indirect impact of like seeing her raise 3 kids on her own, seeing her go to work every day. She's been with our company for 30 years now. And so, yeah. And so, I would say that crew is the crew who's had an impact on me in my life.
Okay. And yeah, I've heard of Stephen Leary's preseason is really intense, or his workouts are really intense. At least all off-season workouts are really intense. So okay, man. And also, this is one last question I want to kind of ask you about threats and about what are the most challenging moments in sport that you've had, and how did you navigate them?
I would say there's probably 2. The first one, which was a huge turning point, was, as I mentioned earlier, I lived in Brookshire, and then my mom moved us to Katy. I don't know the intricacies. Obviously, I always say it was to give us a better education or whatever. So this was when I was in 7th grade. We moved to Katy, but I was still going to Royal. She was driving us back and forth. And in 8th grade, we enrolled in Katy. And so that 7th grade year at Royal, best player on the team, everybody in Brookshire saying I'm the one, amazing talent, all the things I need to hear. I get to Katy. Obviously, Brookshire's a very small town, 3,000 population. Katy is not as big as it is now, but it was much bigger than Brookshire. And, I remember I played football there or whatever, and then getting ready I was just ready for basketball trials like everybody else. And I just assumed that I would just be on A team because I was the best player on the team in Brookshire and whatever. And I'll never forget, Coach said he will be posting the teams that morning. I get to school early, so I want to see the list. I get to school early, 6 o'clock, whatever. I go look at the list. I look at A team, don't see my name on there. I'm like confused. So then I look down at B team. I don't see my name on the B team.
Okay.
I look at the C team, and I see my name on the C team, and immediately,
wow, okay.
Tear just started coming down my eye. So immediately at that point, I go to the coach, and obviously I ask why, and I'm just like, I'm quitting. Like I ain't planning on. A lot of that was pride because I told everybody how good I was what I did before, how I'm gonna be on A team, all this, and my pride was like, I'm not gonna play at all.
Sheesh,
Only reason why I stuck with it is because he said, just start the season, you do well, whatever. There's an opportunity to move you up. That was the carrot that he dangled in front of me. Okay. Never moved me up, but that was the turning point in my sporting career because, ironically, going into high school that summer to Katy High School, I'm looking at the math, right? I make C team at Katy Junior High. At the time, there's 2 other junior highs that's feeding into Katy, so there's a total of 3 schools. So I'm thinking, there's potentially 6 teams of people I got to beat out to make the team because once you get to high school, there is no C team. It was only an A and B freshman team. Right. So I'm thinking about the mathematics of it all. I'm like, and for me, basketball is all I ever wanted to do since I was 7 years old. I said I want to go to the NBA, and so that summer, worked on my game every single day. There was a park across from me called Mary Jo Peckham Park. I would go there and work on my game every single day. And fast forward, that's how TrainHarder was developed without me knowing because I learned how to train myself. Which TrainHarder, obviously, we're training other kids, we're training other athletes, but that's how that was all started. Okay,
wow, okay. And how did you feel about Katy High School? Because I know there's certain politics around Katy High School, and I know there's a lot of beef with certain students because it's in a certain area. How did you feel navigating that as a black student? Because I'm pretty sure it was predominantly white.
Yeah, of course. We have 4,000 students at Katy, and there were 200 black people.
Okay, I mean that's I think that's more
It
than
was
us.
it was really challenging. I mean, it started in 8th grade because I went to Katy Junior High, one of very few black people. It was a handful, but most of them were a year below me. But in my class, it wasn't many at all. It was 2 incidents at junior high that really stuck with me. The first one was during football tryouts at Royal. I was a quarterback. And so during the first day of football practice, they have all these stations with coaches, and they say, go to the position coach that you want to try out for.
I remember now that, yes.
So I go to, I was a quarterback. I go to the quarterback huddle. Coach says, the receivers huddle's over there.
Okay. Ooh.
And
how'd that make you feel?
Well, I mean, at this time, so to give context, because I grew up in Germany, I started school earlier because the cutoff in the States is August. If your birthday is after August, you have to wait a whole year before you start school. When my birthday's in November, in Germany it was December. And so I was a year young, pretty much a year younger than everybody. So in 8th grade, I'm 11 or 12. You know what I mean? I'm 12.
Right.
And so I had no courage to fight back that comment. I just went to the receivers. I mean, I'm 12. I'm just like, okay. Now I reflect on it and I wish I would have stood up for myself. But so it was then that, but then also, this is 1994. This is during the O.J. Simpson trial. In one of my classes, we watched O.J. Simpson was the start of reality TV. O.J. Simpson trial was on TV every single day for 8 months.
Yes.
We watched the trial in class every single day.
Wow. Okay.
And it was really tough because that was a case that was divided. If you was black, you thought OJ was innocent. If you white, you thought he was guilty.
Right.
That's just the facts
just
of
what
it.
Was, so.
And so, watching that trial with my grandfather every day and hearing how my family is cheering for OJ to be innocent, and then going to school and watching this on television and watching this in a classroom full of white people while I'm the only black person, and hearing the disgust that they had towards OJ was really difficult. And then one day the teacher asked, who thinks OJ is innocent?
Okay.
And so, again, I'm 12. My family all thinks OJ's innocent, and I want to raise my hand so bad just because of the influence from my family, but I didn't because obviously no one else raised their hand.
Right. Okay.
And so again, I didn't have the courage to follow my own personal beliefs at that time, at that age. And so that was just the start of it. But then to answer your question, when I got to Katy High School, it was just really tough navigating it there because I really started to see of how discrimination. It's so many things that happen there that if it happened now, coaches would be fired.
Yes, look, I hear you.
I mean, there was when I got on. I mean, just a small incident. When I got on varsity, my coach made a rule that you couldn't have any long socks or afros.
Yeah, that's our two. We couldn't have afros, we couldn't have braids, we couldn't wear earrings because we would wear. See, back then if we didn't have our ears pierced, we wear magnetic earrings, and if we got caught wearing them in school. This is not even a school policy. This is just the coach's rules. And if we got caught, we'd have to run. So if we ever saw a coach in the hallway, we would duck and run. But if we got caught, they would make us run after practice or something like that with wearing earrings. So I hear you on that one.
So who would be wearing braids and afros and long socks? I mean,
exactly.
You know the answer to that. So
yeah.
it was you could never do that now. And we had no courage to fight back on it. It was either you fight back on it or you get dropped off the team because I started my basketball journey at Katy High School with several of my black friends, but only 2 or 3 of us lasted.
Okay.
Because we just decided to follow the rules.
Right.
You know what I mean? Rules with quotation marks, basketball rules. And
then does that have and also like recruitment as well? So like the head coaches at high schools tend to have an influence on how you're recruited and stuff like that. So, right? Or
yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it's
So that's why I didn't get recruited.
so like
they weren't trying to help
if you're
me.
a young person from Katy, like, yeah, listen to some of the gatekeepers who had to go through certain struggles in order to
very challenging. If you can make it out of that town, a lot easier now because you don't need coaches.
Yeah, exactly.
Social media, you don't need. I mean, it's just things are different. But at that time, like, it was a very, very. The thing is that like in the moment, I didn't think it was bad as it was. I just thought that's just the way it was. It was
true.
But now when I reflect on it as an adult, it was clearly discrimination, maybe with racism sprinkled in there. It was just all these things that like that you as 16, 17-year-old in the 90s, you're not really built to kind of understand those things.
That's a great point. And even if like you do, because we kind of had ideas, but it's just like what can you do?
What can you do?
Yeah, like unless so it's a challenging thing, right? And just for context, when we were talking about like sport and like say for football, if you're not an American football listener, like so if you are active in American football, if you're a quarterback, you throw the football, right? And typically back then that was reserved for more of a white gatekeep, I'd say. But now it's changing, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
But then even then there's still stereotypes around. Are they more of a runner than a thrower? You know, but that's kind of that's transforming with like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
But the thing is, the difference is that I mean, there's 15 black quarterbacks in the NFL. The difference is that even though there might still be a narrative of like the black quarterback is the runner, the white might be more cerebral. At least they get an opportunity.
Yes, the opportunity.
We weren't even getting the opportunity.
Yes, and that's
the difference.
And that creates the prejudices and stereotypes around certain athletes, right?
Yeah,
of
course.
And that makes you want to navigate. And that's going to get us to the flipping part of the show, right? So let's flip it, right? So now we'll get more into like how you flip the script to traditional narratives, like what we just mentioned about like stereotypes in sport and how you've overcame that, right? So I've had a chance to do some of the work. To view some of the work and the content you're doing, as well as personally, obviously, I work with you and I've trained with you as well. Much of your work is around sport, and it's about building an awareness to, I would say, like British basketball, player development for like young and adult people. So for our Viber audience and us too, let's flip what script can we flip today, y'all? Flip the, let's flip the athletic normative script, okay? The black athletic normative script, okay? Specifically around basketball, all right? So my first question would be, what are your perceptions of, I would say, traditional or normative narratives in your work that you do that kind of create stereotypes and prejudices and inequalities amongst certain types of groups, if you can think of any?
To kind of sum that up, because again, I'm spinning a lot of plates and I'm in a lot of different type of industries, and the narrative is, even if the narrative is not spoken, is that like for someone who is black, like your role is to be the performer, right? So you're the performer, but anything outside of that is not really for you. And so that is the unspoken, at least that's what I feel. I mean, I don't hear people say it, but that's a narrative that I grew up with. That's a narrative that you statistically see when, for example, if you look at NBA or NFL, which are two sports that are predominantly black, but then you look at the head coaches, you look at the GMs, you look at the people in the offices, they're predominantly white. And so, the players on the field, they're the performers, and the white people are the decision makers, which is, once you come out of that, you think when you're a player that you or an athlete, you think you have a lot of power.
Yes,
but you don't have any power at all.
Right,
It's the people upstairs that got the power, that's making the decisions. And so that is the narrative in pretty much everything. I would say, like even in the media space that I'm in now, I thought about this. I thought about this when I got this new role as lead commentator, which it happened really fast, and I was trying to wrap my head around the role.
Congratulations as well.
I appreciate it, man. Like, what is normally a color commentary? And so, to give context for those that don't know what that is, like, you have a play-by-play guy who is the lead commentator, and then you have a guy who colors it, who just comes in, provides analysis and expertise. The analysis and expertise is normally the former player,
right?
Maybe the black guy or whatever. There's white people too. It's just the former player. But the lead commentator, play-by-play, is usually, most of the time, always white. Think about it. NFL. The only ones that I can think of
TNT Sports.
Yeah.
Bernie, and
I mean, the only ones that I can think of is Mark Davis, who's awesome, by the way. He does NBA, and Greg Gumbel.
Right. Yes.
Those are the only two black people that I can think of off the top of my head, and there might be more that I can think of that are in a lead position. And so, just even thinking about that, and so with that, I felt going into the role a huge responsibility, because it is a huge responsibility when you play. And this is just an example that I'm giving, is that I always feel, because I've been blessed, like I've been blessed to be to get opportunities and be in position to do other things that maybe not a lot of black former athletes get an opportunity to do.
Okay.
But when I do them, I feel an immense amount of pressure doing it, because I put a lot of pressure on myself, because I always go into it saying, well, there's not a lot of people that look like me doing this role, so I have to do it perfectly. You know what I mean? Because if I don't do it perfectly, or if I don't do it to another level, or better than someone who's normally in that space, then it's going to be like, see, this is why they don't get the opportunity to do it. This is why we don't let them do it.
Right.
And so, for using the commentary thing into example, I went into that being like, I got to nail this, because and maybe people aren't out there thinking. I mean, we're in the UK, so things is a little bit more subtle here than it is into the States. The States is more outspoken, but it is here.
Yes, definitely.
It is here for sure. It's just subtle. And so,
but whether it's there or not, it's still in the back of your mind.
Of
right?
course.
And how does that make you feel when you navigate all that?
I feel that it's unfortunate that I have to deal with that, but then on the other hand, I have to deal with it. Like, it's just is what it is. It's not gonna change right now. My responsibility of what I feel is, I feel the pressure of helping change that, to provide opportunities for other people that come from behind me, to let people say, hey, you know what, actually, even though if I maybe thought that like this type of person can't do this job, but I seen Drew do it and he did a good job. So yeah, I'm gonna put that to the side and give this guy an opportunity, because I'm looking strictly at talent. I'm not looking at race or anything like that. I'm just looking at talent.
Yes.
And
exactly.
so I mean, it's pressure, but I tend to just get on with it all and just hope I'm making it easier for someone who comes next.
Okay, right. So when it comes to like commentating, just transforming that narrative around representation, and what that looks like, right? Anybody is capable of doing that, but then there's, like you said, there's this ambiguity in the back of your mind, or back of people's minds, because you want to be able to prove that you can do the role. And a lot of that I talk a lot about this in my work, about having to prove certain things, but you're there. If that makes sense, you're there because you're capable, right? But at the end of the day, we do live in a certain society where certain individuals, certain people have to. It's that level of security, and if we want to progress, it's about we have to be. Some of us have to be more cautious when it comes to doing our work, don't we? Sometimes, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, I do feel that everything that I do. Because I'm in spaces that, like I mentioned before, I do feel like I have to do it twice as better than everybody else who's at that position. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. This is what I grew up with. And so, like, this is all I know. So I don't know if people might be listening to this and being like, I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't never thought about that. Like, what are you talking?
How much do you think your, like, the previous experiences that we mentioned, that you've been mentioning before, has had an impact on how you view your role now with with that?
A huge impact, because like I mentioned before, I have plenty of examples that I've seen it and experienced it.
Exactly.
So that's all I know. So I don't know how to get rid of that.
Yes.
And so that, again, that's just the way I feel, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, but that's how I feel. But I do have examples to back it up.
Exactly right. So, well, if you're listening, make sure you keep championing Drew and supporting him in his role. But you also do other things, like when it comes to training and coaching as well. But could you share like a particular moment that you would consider a turning point in your life and like your career, your sport, what you've done? All the lived experiences that you've had, what do you think was the turning point? It could have been multiple.
Yeah. The example that I gave you earlier was the first one, the turning point of how I just put my hard hat on, went to work, and I went to go try to get something that I knew probably statistically weren't in my favor, but it shaped my mindset for the rest of my life, and that's how I think. Like, if I in a position where I have to go get something, I'm really comfortable in doing that. I have no problem with earning stuff or working towards stuff. So that shaped that. Probably the next turning point was when I graduated college. As I mentioned, I always wanted to be in the NBA, but then as you get older, you have to change your goals. And then my goal changed to, I just want to be able to play professionally.
Yeah. What college did you go to? Which division and stuff?
Well, I started off in Christian Heritage College, which was NAIA. Yeah, I almost forgot the name because all these schools are changing. And then I transferred to Point Loma Nazarene, which was in the same conference, which was NAIA also, but now it's a big-time Division II school in Southern California, San Diego. Yeah, so that was.
Did they retire your jersey? Was this something? Did you get some type of award for that?
Yeah, in 2018, I was named into the Hall of Fame. Okay, which was the first Hall of Famer for men's basketball in the 15, 20 years, and I was there for 2 years.
Wow,
which was it was yeah. When I still think about that, it's pretty amazing because I've had several people since then who have visited San Diego, who not even close to me, who have gone to the school and taken a picture by my Hall of Fame plaque.
So from C team to Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and for me, it's pretty surreal that like that when you think of that is what legacy is, because that will live beyond me. That's something that my kids can. Anytime they go to California, which my daughter's named after California, her name is Cali May. We named after California.
Okay.
I always have a tie with San Diego.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I'm ingrained there forever. So where my great grandkids, when I'm long gone, to be able to say, "Hey, my dad, that's my dad right there." I mean, my great granddad. Yeah. He went to school. He's recognized by this school. So that's pretty cool, man.
Okay. So, sorry I interrupt. You were talking about how going there was a turning point in your life, as far as like.
Well, it was. Well, I mean, it depends. It depends on how deep you want to go. Going to San Diego was a turning point for me in perspective. And I'll start there and not even talk about athletics first. Is that again? I end up living in Texas from 5th grade to 12th grade. I just shared with you guys of what I experienced for the last 5 years living in Katy. And then I moved to San Diego, California, where you go from a conservative place, a place that's divided by black, white, and Mexican again. And I go to California and I'm like, damn, these people just don't care. Like, wow. I remember going to the mall for the first time and I seen a black chick with a white dude. And I did a double take and I just stared and watched them walk off into the abyss. And I'm like, I have never seen that before.
Oh, really? Okay.
You see, like, you see black dudes with white chicks all the time. I had never seen a black chick with a white dude, not in real life.
Oh, okay.
And so that was just the first time that my perspective was just like, wow, this place is different. This place thinks differently. This is an open-minded place, which then brought me back to the perspective that I started my life with.
In the beginning, right.
My beginnings. So it kind of became full circle of just experiencing life of like, wow, there's a lot of different ways that people live. You know what I mean? Because like when you're living in an environment, you think that everywhere is like that. You think that everyone thinks like they think in this town that you live in. You just think that everything is operated under the rules that wherever you live at. But then when you travel, you realize that everyone just lives to their own rules. And that's why I think traveling is great, like getting outside your comfort zone and visiting places, because everywhere is different. People think differently. People eat differently.
Right.
Like what we might think is disgusting in China of them eating this type of food that we would never eat, that's normal to them.
Yes.
Just like a steak dinner to them might be like, ugh.
Right.
It's just about perspective. So learned a lot about perspectives in California.
Nice.
That was really a turning point. But then, to keep the subject on basketball, I graduated college with the aspirations of being pro, and I went a whole year before that became a reality. Juggling a real job, juggling, traveling with the traveling team all across Europe, and it was tough, but it wasn't as tough. I wouldn't say it was a turning point because I didn't know what I didn't know. I was just trying to become a professional basketball player. I just was doing what I had to do. But it wasn't until I actually started my career and had some success, and then from 2009 to 2011, not having a job, that was a turning point. That was some really dark times because that was the first time that I was like, I would look at a basketball and be like, I hate you. Why would you do this to me? Everything that I've given you, like, how could you leave me out in the cold? And so during that time, and again, to give perspective, like 2010, I didn't get a job until December. And then the following year, I didn't get a job the whole season until April. So I went 2 years without playing after being named Team of the Year for 2 years in the British Basketball League.
Wow, okay. Shoot, how'd that make you feel? Like
I just coming out of it during the time, it was tough, man. It was dark. It was lonely. Like you just don't. You're working hard every day towards the unknown, and that takes a special individual.
Yes, I hear what you're saying. That's perfect. Working hard towards the unknown. That's brilliant. Right
It's
there.
easy to work when I say, "Hey, Chris, hey, you're gonna be going overseas in a month. Go get ready.
Get yourself ready." Yeah.
If I tell yourself get ready and you have no idea when that phone's gonna ring, it is very difficult to remain motivated.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Dang, that reminds me of an interaction we had because that was around the same time I started my first year when I played in Slovakia. I got hurt.
Yep.
And it was so bad. Like I think that was a turning point as well as far as my career. But I had to go home. I stayed every week. They would tell me, "Yeah, we're gonna keep you. We're gonna keep you." And like after the third week, I pulled my groin. And this is what it comes to. Like I said,
remember that.
I pulled my groin. Well, I kind of pulled it, and then I ended up coming back too early because I was being pressured by management and by the coach, and then I ended up tearing it. And I was out for like a good 6 weeks, but every week I was there, they were saying, "Oh, well, we'll keep you, blase, blase." And even during the preseason, I played so well, they said they would double my salary when I come back. So they kept bringing people in, but I stayed while people were coming and leaving. But then when somebody ended up coming that they really liked, and he was cool anyway, so they ended up sending me home. And I was devastated because I was hurt, and there's nothing I couldn't control that, right? And then I was just playing in leagues. And then it came to the playoffs in Slovakia. They're trying to get back into the playoffs. And I got a random call so I went home in November and I got a random call, I say in March, end of March. They're trying to get into the playoffs. And I just got a random call and said, "Can you come tomorrow?" Can you come tomorrow?
That's overseas basketball, ladies and gentlemen.
I said, absolutely. So I came and I was killing. But I kept myself ready, right? But I kept myself ready for the unknown, like you said. And I remember you mentioned I think you saw something. You saw something we were talking about. Like, how did you come back we had a quick conversation like, how'd you come back like killing like that? I was like, I mean, I was just staying ready. You know what I mean? Like yeah. But it was like literally fresh off the plane. I played that night as well. I almost cramped up. But but yeah, that's also overseas travel. It's never good to play the same day you arrive.
Yeah.
But it was like 2 important games where we had to get into the playoffs, and I did that. Yeah, but that's a great quote, man. So practicing for the unknown. Yeah. Okay. Whew. Yeah, that brings back memories. But yeah, sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah.
Now, we've spoken a bit about, legacy, other things like your traditional narratives, but how do you feel like, and we also talk about representation, but how do you feel your work, your sport, your brand that you have going on, how do you feel like that is flipping the script?
I would say because now that I'm in a position to make decisions, provide opportunity, my whole mission is about, I don't even know if this is a word, inclusivity. Is it? Okay.
Inclusivity.
Right. Inclusivity. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I am very inclusive. Like, my whole mantra is providing opportunities for people with expecting nothing in return. Mm-hmm. Like, I just want to be able to provide, because that's what life is about, right? Like, it's a lot of people that work hard. Mm-hmm. But some people just not given the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so for me, like, I just want to give people an opportunity that I would have died to have. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's giving an opportunity without looking at somebody's gender, without looking at their race, mm-hmm. without looking at their background, mm-hmm. with just looking at one thing. Is this person capable of doing the job? Mm-hmm. That's what I base my whole brand on. I don't look at anything else. I don't say, oh, this dude's black, let me give him a chance. Mm-hmm. Or this dude's white, let me give her a chance. It's just about, who do I think is best fit to do the job? Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel that how life should operate. And we clearly know it doesn't. Like, it's, mm-hmm. It's nepotism. It's a lot of things that go into it. Mm-hmm. But I just like to base things off of
working hard,
talent and work and hard work. Yeah. That's it. Mm-hmm. Bottom line. And so that is what my brand is about when, providing coaching opportunities for TrainHarder, whether that's media opportunities with 21 Media or, anything. And so that's how I try to flip the script now that I'm on the other side of it.
Ooh, okay. So opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's cool. I appreciate it. But yeah, definitely I can champion that and say that's definitely what you've done for my life. Like I mentioned before, like I would not be here. Much of my trajectory here started because of you. I mean, it started because of you, basically. So, and like you said, then once opportunity is provided, you have to continue to navigate that on your own or with other people. You know what I mean? So you still have to put in the hard work once you're presented that opportunity, once you're in that opportunity, right? Wow. Okay. Thank you.
But again, it's someone like yourself who firstly, like, my interactions with you, thing that I noticed is that you were a good person, really good, humble person, the right intentions, working hard, who had reminded me a little bit of my story of who trajectory was stunted by injury, and things in professional basketball can end that quickly regardless of how well you done, and you just needed another shot. And so I had no problem in putting my name behind you, and which I did, and then whatever happened after that, that was all you. And so again, for anyone listening out there, is that all you could do is provide someone an opportunity, and what happens after that is dependent on you. You know what I mean?
And okay, I'll play the other side. How would Drew assess someone that they feel is not ready for that opportunity?
Oh, that's easy. That's really easy. I mean, you know how many people have come up to me and said, and you probably heard this same question, hey, man, help me get overseas.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Like okay. I could just be like, hey, Mark, hey, I got Brian with me. Hey, sign this guy up, man. Like, it's just that easy. It's far from that, man. I've heard that question asked 1,000,000 times, man. But there are occasions where someone will ask. Like there have been times where I've been asked several times, And when I'm asked, it is just the people that pop up into my mind about who I think deserves the opportunity. And out of all those thousands of people who've asked me, it's probably been about 10 that I provided an opportunity to come over here that I vouched for. And so the way that I can suss that out to answer your question is usually I put them through a test. I would always say, okay, meet me. I'll be at Lifetime. Meet me at the gym at 5:00. 95% of the people that I've told to do that first of all, they don't even show up, and they don't even call or text or say, "My bad, I overslept. This came up. That came up." What happens after that, they go hiding for a little while.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
They go hiding because they know they messed up. They knew they messed up. And all it would have took was, man, my bad. God, 5 a.m. is early, man. How the hell you do that? My bad. I just overslept. That has never been the case. They always run. And I've done that with many, many people. And they just don't show up. And that's my bot. And I'm like, yep.
I remember that, though. We used to have to get up in the morning and train. I remember that. Yes. Okay. So asking questions. So for instance,
and you could tell by habits. You could tell by personality. It's pretty easy to kind of tell who deserves the opportunity.
Has there been anybody you've given an opportunity that kind of, you don't have to say specifically, but may have let you down a bit, or may have kind of took advantage of it in a way where it was it didn't make you look good, or it didn't,
right?
You know what I mean?
I mean, when it's from a basketball perspective, everyone that I've chosen have been great, and they've gone to do great things with it. Coaching perspective has been some people that I'm like, I would never give you another opportunity.
Right.
So it's happened in that realm. Yeah, not many. Very few.
That means you assess very well.
Yeah, no, very few. In the one or two incidents that has happened, it was a situation to where I knew of these people's personality or their past, and they were looking to make a change, and they've showed examples that they have, and their past just came to hunt them. Okay. And that's what it was. Like, it wasn't anything out of left field that surprised me. It was people who had a past of previous mistakes that just needed a second chance, right? And so it didn't take advantage of the second chance.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
So nothing out of left field where I was like, wow, that shocked me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's good assessments then. Okay. This is the last question I'm going to ask around flipping. We talked about legacy. You talk about legacy in the Hall of Fame and whatnot, but where do you see yourself, like your brand, all the work that you do, leaving a lasting legacy and positively impacting others?
That's a great question. I would just say it would be, if anything, and I don't know if it is this, what I would want it to be, is just inspiration. And why I say that is because my inspiration, as I mentioned earlier, is documentaries. My inspiration is people I don't know personally, because I'm a documentary freak. I go and watch these people who started from scratch, started from negative, and built themselves up to this big brand. And that's what inspires me. That's what keeps me going, because I'm like, man, it can happen to little old me. Right. And so I want my brand to be a representation of that somebody could see that I'm just like you. Right. You know what I mean? I didn't have any handouts. I wasn't a on the positive side of nepotism or favors or anything. Like, I just step by step, brick by brick, slow grind, and was able to do some great things. And so when people look at that and look at the story, that's what I want the brand to be about, and they can walk away and say, man, I can do it too.
Yeah, that's a great point. It reminds me of a text message I sent earlier today, because I had some instances happen and they were like showing support by asking how I do it. And I just, what I responded was similar to that. It's more about like, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yep.
You know, that same quote. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And when it comes to being genuine and giving people opportunity, not everyone is willing to do that. Some people are willing just to, we talked about this earlier before we started, like about just, even if you get to a certain point, nobody wants to create like, I don't know, like I don't want to say puppet, but like like you said, don't want to provide opportunities for other people. They want to be the only person in the room.
Yeah.
Right. So you're in a certain space now where you're there, but you would champion opportunity for other people that come after you. Right.
Yeah. And I'm happy. Mm-hmm. And this is why people are afraid to do that, because they don't want you to go further than them. Mm-hmm. That's why people are hesitant to bring them up. Whereas I have no problem if someone that I bring to the table ultimately has more food than me, or is able to exceed the things that I've done. I don't have a problem with that at all. I'm supportive of that. I want you to use me as a blueprint to do better than what I did. And many people don't think that way. That's why people hold opportunities close to them chest, because they're scared that you might come and do it better and take it away from them. But yeah,
You've always said that though. But I love that quote that you just mentioned about you don't mind being at the table and someone having more food than you on your plate, right?
Yeah.
But you've always mentioned about, when I always asked you about trainers and how do you keep going, and how are you building your platform? But you, and Katie specifically as well, you would tell me, you were like, there's opportunity for everybody. There's so many kids out there. Why should I try to focus on everyone trying to being with me? Why should I talk badly about some other trainer, other trainer? Like, you always were talking about how there's so much opportunity for everybody. There's so many kids, so why? It's about everyone winning, basically, right? And that's what I remember you always said that as well, which is very important. Yeah,
especially in that space during those times. Like I would say, like the 2012s to 18, when everybody started doing it. It was competitive. Like people are competing, and so people compete differently. Most people compete by putting out negativity about the competition.
Yes, I got
Whereas
you.
me, I don't know you like that. Like,
right.
I don't even know how you do things. So like, why would I tell someone not to go to you or do you? I'm just like, if I know that I can't do it, then I would just say, hey, I always would tell people there are plenty options around. You just have to find out the option that's best for you. Yes. Instead of saying, no, I wouldn't go to this and him and her. Then they didn't.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's enough for everybody. Like, why would you operate that way?
It's enough food for everybody.
Yeah, it's enough for everybody, man.
See, this is why we have Drew here, right? Now, okay, thank you for that. Now we're going to get to the last part of the show, all right? We're going to get to the concluding part where you'll offer us insight around, is ball life, right? And part of that rehumanization within that. So if you could reflect on your journey thus far, what do you know now that you wish you knew before?
About myself or in general?
A bit of both, whatever comes to mind, yeah.
I would say I want to answer it on a personal level, because that's just what's relevant to me. Is I wish I knew these stories that I told you guys about earlier in the 90s, where I wasn't sticking up for myself or outspoken. I wish I knew that kid was more than capable of being a leader of people. Because I was an introverted, quiet kid, I thought it was impossible for me to be a leader. Hence why I was not outspoken, because I didn't think that my words mattered at all. And so, I wished that I knew that I could be a leader of people, and a good one, I would like to say as well. And so, I think if I had known that, I would have probably operated it a lot differently. But then again, on the other side of it, like, it's about growth. You don't know what you don't know. Like, maybe those experiences help me be this. We'll never know.
Yeah,
like, we don't know. Like, but I never in a million years, when I look at myself now, to what I envisioned myself as a kid, I didn't think I would be doing half the things that I'm doing now. I didn't think I was capable of it. I thought I was just capable of, and also I wish that I had known that I could be more than just an athlete. Mm-hmm. I thought that I could just only be a basketball player. Mm-hmm. And that's why I put all my energy into it, because it had to happen. It had to work, because I just didn't think it was anything else out there that I could be or do. Mm-hmm. But what I'm learning now is that I'm way more than just that. Yes. And everybody is. And that's the thing for an athlete. Like athletes, especially when you get to retirement, it is so spooky, because that's what you've done your whole life, and you just think that your life is over.
Yes.
When you start to get to that point where you know it's getting close, but then you start to realize very soon that your life is just getting started.
Yeah. So you went from a shy introvert to a commentator.
Yeah.
So like, what made you want to do commentating as well? Like, or get on the TV. You're on TV behind the mic.
Had aspirations of presenting, being a podcast host, a commentator, which all takes public speaking, which all takes you got to be an extrovert, right? Like you got to be. And so I consider myself this is how I describe myself. I am a extroverted introvert, which means I'm introverted. When you see me on a day-to-day basis, like if you see me at home with my family, I'm really quiet. Like I just would rather, I'm more of a listener. I like to watch things. I like to observe things. I'm not a big talker, but I have the capability of doing it. And this is the side that you see now and hear now. This is just my mom's side. My mom is this. She's very outgoing, very get on a table and dance type person. And so this is my mom's side in the latter years coming out. But to answer the question, I never had aspirations of doing it. However, when I was young, I was fascinated with people like Marv Albert. I've always been curious about how TV works. Like I would love watching shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I would love watching The End, because that's when they showed the bloopers. Because that's when you would get to see shows of them being real people. Yeah. And I was fascinated with that, because I was like, I want to know how it works. I want to know how it all works. And so this space that I'm in now, it just kind of fell in my lap. But it goes back to what I said earlier about everything that you do it to the best of your ability. Because there's two turning points for me. And my freshman year in college, I had to take a public speaking class that I was absolutely terrified.
All right.
When I was, man, I was so terrified of that class, man. But it really, really helped me get a little bit of confidence. And then when I came overseas, you have to do a lot of stuff in the community, and you got to do a lot of stuff where they just put you on the spot. They'll call you up and say, "Hey, Drew, I need you to go be at this school in an hour." Doing what? You'll find out when you get there. And I'm a person that I like to be prepared.
Yes.
I don't like walking into situations unknown, but all the situations, my 5 years in Plymouth, and then my 8 years in Newcastle, that they put me in situations where I had to be quick on my feet, think on the spot, and be sharp, and doing these community programs where you're speaking in front of kids. And I remember, like, these community programs, all the players hate doing them, because all basketball players want to do is just sleep, eat, and go to practice and play basketball.
Yes.
You not coming overseas to be doing no school stuff. And so guys are always, it don't matter what team you go into, the drive there, they complaining, they walking slow, dragging their feet, hoodie on their head, like just, and it dawned on me. I was like, when they kept choosing me I would be like, why they keep asking me to do it? And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let them use me. I'm going to use them. I'm actually going to use these opportunities as a chance to work on my speaking. Because first of all, I'm speaking to 300 kids who's 10 or 11 years old. They don't know if I'm doing it right or not.
That's true.
Like, and I was like, I'm going to start taking this seriously, and like working on my delivery, and working on how I interact with people, and working on speaking in public. And that mindset shaped me to presenting and commentator, where you got to be quick on your feet, you got to be able to speak properly, and all those skills that I learned from the community projects is what got me in this space, which was just an opportunity that just fell in my lap, and I just ran with it afterwards.
Yeah, that's great. Like your story is very, I say it's similar to mine in a way, just different types of experiences, right? Because I was definitely an introvert as well. I still feel like I am a bit, depending on the situation, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for that, and also, yeah, man, your story is amazing. Thank you for sharing. It seems like everything you just mentioned is part of like rehumanization or just humanization in particular, right? And I like to talk about wisdom. I always say wisdom is to be a simplified definition is knowledge plus lived experience. So that's why sometimes people say age ain't nothing but a number, right? Because there's certain people who could be older with less experience with certain things, right? But there's someone who could be younger and have more experience with certain things. So it's about knowledge plus lived experience. That's how I look at it, though. But now, since this is the last question.
Nah, man, I got.
It's cool. No, but this the last one.
Okay.
This leads to it. Everything you just mentioned about just about what you do, why you did it, why you do it, how you've used basketball and how you, and even during that process of basketball, like how you navigated that in order to get to where you're at now when it comes to speaking and stuff like that. You took advantage of certain opportunities and you used it to the best of your abilities and to, like, I would say, like, help you out in the future, right? Like you just mentioned in your story about speaking to students. But now, with all that being said, is ball life?
Now that sounds like a very simple question, but it got my head spinning because it's really, really profound, particularly with my story. I would say yes and no. I would say yes because for me, that's what it was about. That's where the dreams and the goals and the inspiration started. Yeah. Because of basketball. If it wasn't because of basketball, I don't know how this story would have turned out. And so it is the reason that gave me the ability to be inspired, which I mentioned earlier was Michael Jordan. And now, and there was a time where, I could not envision myself not playing basketball. I said my goals were make it to the NBA and I want to play until I'm 40. Like, because I just wanted to play forever because I just couldn't see my life. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. Now, I say no because there is so much more to life than a ball. Basketball, football, baseball is a very short period of your life, and you're going to live more time, God willing, without it than you had with it. And so it's just so many other opportunities and things out there for everyone that you just have to have the same mindset that you had of wanting ball to be life. Have that same mindset if it isn't in your life. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's just it's a complex question that I can go down a rabbit hole and just it's a bit of both for sure. It's a bit of both, yeah.
So yes and no. Yes, because it inspired you and influenced you to be where you're at today.
It was a genesis.
Yes,
it was a genesis. Yeah, I don't know, like, if I didn't play sports or basketball, if I would be so goal oriented, if I would have the mindset of wanting to be the best in everything I'm included in. Like, these are traits developed from playing sports.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is why they have translated, because I want to be the best. Like, and I prepare, I work hard. I know how to work with others. Like, all this stuff is developed from that. But, you know, and so, yeah, it's complex. I'm using those things now, but I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't, and yeah, like you said, it doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
ooh, thank you. See, that was great because you're the first one, so you didn't have any type of a tutorial to look at anybody else's answer. Like, say, when I asked about what rehumanization means in the previous series. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, is there any social media handles or platforms that people could follow you on?
Yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere. I mean, even TikTok, even though, like, I just have not been able to get on that bandwagon. Like, I can't even open that app. But I'm there. Drew Lasker 21 everywhere. Mostly active on Twitter. now. I used to be a big Instagram, but Twitter is Drew21Pink.
Twitter X.
X. Sorry,
That's
X.
okay.
I'm really active on there. Instagram is Drew Lasker 21. So is Facebook and LinkedIn as well.
Support the brand. His brand got some cool gear. I'm gonna to buy. I see this hoodie. I'm gonna have to buy this hoodie.
Yeah, man.
How much do we get the hoodie for? How much?
I'll give you a discount off air.
You know,
because think about it. Because then everybody would want to.
Nah, black lead. I don't do discounts. I try not to do discounts with black lead, but I get you though. Okay, but now thank you, man. I really appreciate you coming today, and your story is, like I said, is amazing. This is what this show is about. Is about understanding the different people and the background, what they're doing, and I feel like how you are as a person, and your story just needs to be championed, needs to be spotlighted and put out there to inspire others, you know. And but thank you for coming today. I really appreciate you taking the time. And one love. That's it.
I'll leave everybody with this. First of all, it's my pleasure to be sat here with you in England, a place that both of us wasn't at 20 years ago, in a small town, Katy, and now we live, 30 minutes from each other. It's crazy how the world works. But I'll just leave people with this, who hopefully is able to use my story as an inspiration and go create your own, is that when you are trying to create your own story and you're trying to chase success, there's a lot of people cheering for you. But then when you actually get there, it's crickets. It's not as much cheering and support as it was when you were trying to get there. And so the purpose of me saying that is that when you do get there and it's crickets and you don't have that support and you don't have hear those same people on the sideline cheering for you when you were trying to get there, don't allow that to keep you from stopping to get to where you're trying to go. Continue to pursue, continue to push through that, because everybody wants you to be successful, but they don't want you to be successful because they don't want you to be more successful than them. It brings out a human nature, little bit of enviness.
Right. That's interesting, because like I can go on about that, but it's like, because sometimes people say like the higher you go, the more haters you have. But then from that perspective, like depending on where you're at in life, right, or the level, it's like there's more crickets as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how you just said, like it's a bit of I won't say loneliness, but there's a bit of that. There's people that were in your life that then are gone from your life. So that's amazing. Thank you.
Because the fans, the people who are a fan of you once you get to success, are people you don't even know. They're
That's
people
true.
who are, like I mentioned earlier, I'm inspired by people I don't even know personally.
Exactly.
You're fans of people you don't even know because you're inspiring them. But the people that are closest to you, who you think should be inspired and supporting you, are nowhere to be found.
That's a great point. Well, I feel you on that. But thank you, though. I appreciate
That's
you.
good stuff, man.
All right. Thank you. All right, y'all. Some reflections. Yeah. Thank you, Drew, for coming on. And Drew's story is amazing. Like I said, I've always been a fan of Drew. And like I said, I wouldn't really be here if it wasn't for Drew putting me out there, negotiating with other people and supporting my journey, and just helping me with an opportunity. And I just took advantage of that opportunity, right? We talked about opportunity a lot, and it's very important for people especially people from certain backgrounds, if you're black, to take advantage of opportunities as much as we can, because there's systemic barriers put in place for us to survive and not necessarily thrive. So I think a lot of Drew's story is both surviving and thriving, and I think it'll be good to get to a point where we can just thrive at what we do and not have to worry about surviving a certain type of environment, like specifically in Drew's background, a racialized environment. But at the end of the day, it made Drew who he was, and Drew's an amazing person, as you could tell from the episode. His life journey is amazing, going from C team to playing varsity to playing college and playing a 16-year career, and is in the Hall of Fame, now does media and production. It's amazing seeing Drew's journey, and he coaches as well. So it's good to see how Drew used ball as a way to navigate his life. Like he said, it was a very inspirational tool in his life. So for Drew, is ball life? Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'll get to that at the end of the season, what I think. But yeah, he mentioned yes and no. But yeah, I think another key highlight he mentioned, he had a bunch of key moments, quotes. But I love the one where he mentioned that we can all eat at the table, and sometimes some people may have more food than you. It's just more about understanding that people have there's different opportunities out there, and different people are at different stages or different levels, right? And thank you for flipping and vibing with us. I think we need to get out of that episode around loneliness when you get to a certain level. And Drew mentioned about how there's opportunity out there for everybody, and it's important that we remove this self-hate and hatred towards others because we want to be on top, right? And that's why it's always when I champion loving thyself, there's a part of rehumanization, because you can't love others if you don't love yourself, right? And I think that's extremely important. But yeah, tune in. I'm happy to say that this series is coming, and yeah, I know that I have more athletic followers, people in the sport world, so please support as much as you can. Yeah, one love.